Maniacs, or whatever time of day it is. I don't know what time it is. I think it's around midday here. We've got a coffee. I'm looking like a bit of a sponsor today. It's unintentional, I swear to you. It's around midday for me. I hope everyone's okay. I've had a few coffees today, so I'm feeling like a bit of a jam with you guys. So if anyone, again, as usual, if anyone's got any riff ideas or song ideas, or if anyone's got any questions or anything, throw them at me. Hopefully the internet stays up today, and hopefully the dogs stay nice and calm and there's no squirrels in the backyard. If it does, for whatever reason, get any interruptions from the internet, what we usually do, we just cut it off and then start another one. Sometimes it gets a bit of a delay on here and we have to catch up because there's too much metal going through the internet. So, we've got a request already for Blackened. Let's see. Today, by the way, people usually ask me what I'm using. I'm using a Kemper today with a profile of my Marshall Plexi. It's a beautiful cream colour Marshall Plexi. It's a reissue, 35th anniversary reissue, 1997 it came out. And I profiled one of those in the studio so that I could put it through the Kemper and add things like reverb and stuff and have it at a semi-reasonable volume in the house. And on the floor, I've got a Jerry Cantrell Jim Dunlop wah-wah. I have an MXR Univibe and I have a MXR Microchorus. And in my hands here, my lovely sweaty hands, I have a white Epiphone Flying V, some Herbert called Richie Faulkner signature model. But this one has got prototype pickups in it from EMG that I'm trying out. I know some of you know this already. I'm sorry if you've heard this. I'm boring myself sometimes. But for you that don't know, these are prototype EMGs that we're working on, potentially for release at some point. What else can I tell you? The pick that I'm using, a lot of people ask about my pick, is a 3mm Dunlop Flow. Give me 2 seconds. There's always something. And the phone I'm using is no, I'm only joking. Let's see. Hopefully that gives me some juice. So that's the rig I'm using. The Univibe's working today. Sometimes we have a bit of a temperamental Univibe, and I know sometimes it works better with single coil guitars like P90 pickups and single coil like Strat pickups and Teddy pickups and stuff like that. But I know it's not that. Sometimes it works. It's working today. Sometimes it doesn't work. So yeah. It really. I'll tell you what it does sound like. Live After Death by Iron Maiden. Dave Murray had it wasn't quite a wah and it wasn't quite a phaser. But it was because he had humbucking pickups. I think it was a Univibe of some kind. Because if you that's what it sounds like to me, and I was always searching for that tone. maybe it was a Univibe, maybe it was a version of a Vibe that he used. But when I grew up, Live After Death was one of my go-to albums. I'd come home from school and I'd put it on, and you could turn the guitars, because they were stereo pan left and right. So you had Adrian Smith on one side and Dave Murray on the other. So I'd learn all Davey Murray's bits and then turn him off so I could play along with the band. So it was one of my favourite records of all time. So yeah, I always liked that sound, that kind of not full-on phasery flangey, but somewhere in there, almost like a subtle wah effect. You know? Explanation to what I'm using, but you know, we're having fun. I haven't got much to do with you. Well, I kind of have actually. I'm trying to put it off. So, can everyone hear everything okay? Everyone can see everything? Everyone can hear everything? The first time I saw Iron Maiden was in 1997, maybe 1997, 1998, something like that, and it was in the Hovet in Stockholm, and it was with Blaze Bayley. So yes, we've got some lag. We'll see how it goes. And then we'll see what we can do. The Reels Crapple, or Crappy, was that? Crapple. The Vibe is a Univibe. It's an MXR Univibe. It's based on the Univibes. It's in a little box. So it's not working now. Look. You can hear something in there. It's almost like it warms up, which is weird. It doesn't come on straight. You can hear it now, right? Now, wasn't when I turned it off and on again. Anyway, do I have signature pickups? I'm working on some signature pickups with the guys at EMG, and they're these ones at the moment. So we're working out, you know, little tweaks and bits and pieces here and there. I'm scared to turn the Univibe off because I don't want it to go away. So. Yeah, there's a few of them out there. They've done a couple of different editions. One of them, I've got a couple. I've got a Crybaby Rackwa out the front. If anyone sees Priest over the last couple of years, I've got a couple of wahs right out in the front of the stage, upstage, and I've got one at the front, in front of my cabinets, and then I've got one on the riser, and they're running through a Crybaby Rackwa, so they're just the controllers. Then on the pedal board, it's a Jerry Cantrell wah. Now I've got one at the moment which is like a copper colour. And I've also got one which is a red colour. So I'm not sure which edition's which. We just got what was available at the time. And the Jerry Cantrell wah, it's got a knob on it, and it turns down a bit at the top end on it. I don't know if it's the Q or the something or other they call it. But I don't like it to be too. If you imagine as a wah pedal like this, it's the at that section with the toe up, they call it, and then toe down it goes ah. So in everything in between goes wow like that, right? So I don't like it to be too much of a ah. I like a bit of a wah, kind of a ah, kind of there, like a ah. You know, it's a ah pedal. Okay, so yeah. So the Jerry Cantrell, you can take down a bit of that ah and make it a bit more of a ah, you know. I've got a slipping saddle as usual, but that's okay. It's rock tuning. Let me see. Do your fingers ever ache after a show? How do you remedy? Not really. The fingers don't really ache. They, you know, you start and then they warm up and then they get fluid, and then by the end of the show they're firing. You know what I mean? They're loosened up. They're warm, both in the sense of they're actually warm temperature-wise and warm fluidity-wise. You know, so not really. I get things. I get wrist, as I said yesterday. I get what's known as wanker's cramp. Sometimes in my left hand, and sometimes my thumb. I think it's my thumb or my index finger. There's a nerve in there somewhere, and if I play heavy strings, and sometimes I don't know if I'm gripping too hard, I hit a nerve, and sometimes that hurts. But other than that, you know, if I get some rest in my wrist for the wanker's cramp, then I'm usually okay. Songs are going to be played on the 50th tour? No, not really. We kind of have an idea of what we're going to try, but we don't make any decisions until we get into rehearsals, really. Obviously, a lot of thought goes into that. You know, what haven't we done for a while? What kind of signifies certain albums, or do we do like the Epitaph thing where we do chronological stuff, or you know, all that sort of thing. It all goes into all that kind of thought goes into that, but we don't really make a final decision until we put those, we rehearse those songs and then put them in order and then ruffle it around a bit and see what happens. So, can you show the pedals presets? That, I'll tell you what it is. It was the, it's just the amplifier, the profile of the amplifier, should I say? And it's the Univibe. All it was the Univibe. And the Univibe, the speed is on about 11 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock. And the level and the depth were at 4. And those Maiden live records, they were never. It's always kind of. So it was kind of looser than the thrash. You know what I mean? It's always a bit. Feel that if anyone's trying to play Maiden stuff out there, a lot of people that I've seen anyway kind of forget that. It's a lot more open. It wasn't as, you know, tight is the wrong word, but just my observation anyway, you know. This is a blinding coffee. I'll try and see if I can work that out. My priest audition, what was my priest audition like? Well, they took me into a room and beat me up. No, they didn't. It was, it wasn't so much an audition as kind of we got together, we discussed, and then I played a few things. And, you know, Glenn was there and Rob was in the other room. And then we kind of went from there. I think Glenn said he knew I could play, but he wanted to see what I could do, with their songs. So they gave me some songs to learn, which were Blood Red Skies, Beyond the Realms of Death, Victim of Changes, and something else, which they were thinking of doing on the upcoming tour. So they wanted to hear what I was going to do on Ken solos. You know, like Victim of Changes was a big one. It's got a vibe, you know. Blood Red Skies was a KK solo in the middle. So they wanted to hear what I was going to do with that. So we went from there, really. Rapid fire. So rapid fire, I play it slightly different, or depending on the mood I'm in, if I'm feeling lazy. Which is absolutely incorrect. The right way to play it, and you'll see why in a minute, is there's a slight slide. Slides all over the place, so even up to that one, there's a slide. So that's what. Time with that reverb. So that's basically it, no reverb. There's a bit of reverb in the room, as there should be. Rapid fire, chorus. Basically that. All Guns Blazing. You know, All Guns Blazing is one of those ones, it's a tough one. I think there's parts of that which I think are harder than the Painkiller solo. Everyone always goes to the Painkiller solo for toughness and technicality, which it absolutely is. But for me, All Guns Blazing is probably tougher for me than Painkiller. So what are we looking at? Electric. And what I find as well is that a lot of people use, you've got quite a lot of distortion on there from the amp at the moment, and I find that some of that early stuff takes on a more priest-like characteristic if you back the gain off on the volume. So at the moment the volume's on 10 on the guitar. I normally back it off to about 7 or 8, so let's back it off to 7. That's probably not enough, so let's put it on about 8. Sharon Richardson, how you doing? Master Jedi. So yeah, that's something I usually do as well. I've always done that. Backed off the volume control on the guitar to about 7 or 8 for rhythm tones. It just gives them a bit more punch, a bit less gain, and it cuts through a bit more, and then bring it up for lead breaks, you know. It's the old school way of doing it. Choose which Priest song are you most bored to play? Now come on. If I answered that, it would be all over Blabbermouth, wouldn't it? I'm not silly. I might in a minute though. I've had a few coffees, so you never know. Tea drinker Liz, how you doing by the way? I fancy a tea every now and again. For some reason, whenever I go back to the UK to work with the band on a new record or whatever, I get into tea and cake. So we'll do like a first session of a couple of hours, and then we'll take a break and go and have a cup of tea and cake. And for some reason, I get into that, and then I come back home and get back into the coffee. I don't know why that is, but usually it's coffee, and then every now and then I'll have a cup of chai. We've got a few requests for the Sentinel, so let's do the Sentinel, shall we? Things. Someone said, can we see the notes? Yeah, so there's a couple of things. I'll show you the notes, and there's also what I find Ken more than Glenn did was there was a bit of a pinch harmonica when he played. So I'm overemphasizing it, but you hear those little rings, those little pops there. I always felt that Ken had that going on in his style in general, really. So that beginning of the Sentinel. Up, and then the part after that, which Glenn plays on the record, is A minor, F, C, and then some other stuff. The hard part, or the technical part, really, I mean, you've got a few chords there, but it's the right hand. Which is genius, Master Tipton. And again, sound-wise, this was what, 83, 84, depends on the face. Someone will put me right there. But you know, these days in 2020, we've got heavy gain amplifiers. This isn't even the heaviest gain, you know, but you get heavy gain amplifiers. Back in 84, you know, they were probably using JCM 800s or something like that, maxed. So it wasn't like it wasn't full on gain. It was, so again, somewhere around 7 or 8 on what I'm using today. A bit more cut, a bit more clarity. Bit more clarity. We're back onto the T again, Liz. Right, so what are we doing? We've got bread fan. We've got a Boss. I appreciate that, man. I mean, it's just pretty much it's an amplifier and a chorus pedal is really what I use most of the time. There's no. Actually, this is important. The links are broken on Judas Priest's website for buying the stuff and supporting the. That's good. I'll relay that to management. There's a dodgy link on the website. That's good to know for Glenn's Foundation. I did show you the time without reverb. I can do it again, but I prefer the reverb one actually. So there it is. There you go. I prefer reverb, so we're having reverb, unfortunately. Green Melody. Again, I'm on about 7 on the guitar, so it sounds pretty heavy. I'm only on about 7. I'm getting sweaty. It's fucking warm up here, I tell you. See the things I do, blood, sweat, and tears, you know. But no, all good fun. Let me think. That kind of thing. I haven't played that for a while, properly. And I'll tell you a secret. That came from I wanted the same kind of feeling as not feeling, but same kind of vibe that I got from Hellbent for Leather. So. It's almost the same pattern there. But it's the same figure. Bad days where my inner ear doesn't work properly. Not my inner ear. My ears are pretty faithful. Yes, I do know Sam Coulson. He's a good buddy of mine, killer player too. Usually things that can let me down a little bit are sometimes like my fingers are working, my ears are working, and sometimes I improvise a lot, you know, so I'm coming up with stuff on the fly, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't quite work. Notes are fine, but it's not pleasing for what I want to achieve, and I couldn't tell you what I'm trying to achieve, but sometimes it just doesn't connect somehow. Jared's live now as well. Awesome, we should get on the same one, you know. Rising from Ruins harmony solo. Rising from Ruins. Let me see. Layla, bloody hell. Crossfire, bloody hell, that was something along those lines. It was very improvised, very kind of off the cuff, so it's something along those lines anyway. Turning circles. Digging this univibe today. Don't know about you, but if you're not, I'm sorry. Everything alright? Oh, yeah, I'm dying. We're getting some AC up here. Okay, so we've got one complaint already about the delay, so I'll keep my eye on that. If everyone keeps getting shirty and complaining, then I'll reset it. Tears of Blood. So just so you know, we've had a bit of a visitor. Just going to say a quick hello. This is Freddie.
Oh, he came up.
He came up. Just want to say hello to everyone. Say hello, Fred. Here he is. He's not interested whatsoever. He likes a bit of guitar and stuff, but here he is. Just thought people were asking about him the other day, so I thought we'd say hello. Here he comes. There he is, look. Say hello, Fred. Say hello. This is Fred Pig, Freddie Pigglesworth of the Southern Isles. He's 9 months old tomorrow, actually. Here he is. He's a fat bastard, but we love him. There you go. There you go, Fred.
I didn't know he followed me out.
There he is. Sometimes he gets upstairs and, oh dear, look at this. job and get a haircut. My job requires me to have this haircut, I'm afraid. That's awesome though. Firepower. 3:02 a.m. Is that in Korea or Japan? I couldn't see the flag there. It's over that way anyway. So what are you doing up? You should be in bed. Petrucci. Let's play something that everyone might know. Is it the... Something like that, innit? Stand up and shout. Hey Fred. Hey Freddy boy. My Freddy's here. I don't know if anyone can see him down here. Interesting thing about this, as I'm feeling like passing on some information, lightning strike, it's the rhythm, I play the rhythm very much like Let It Roll. On the upstroke. A bit in Let It Roll, the verse is it. So, I see, by the way, you're saying the audio's out of sync. We'll see how it goes. Sometimes it kicks in and kicks out. So yeah, it's all on the upstroke for me. And then on the verse as well. Here he goes. The one who's barking isn't Freddy, by the way. It's his arch nemesis and brother, Mr. Bulbasaur Van Peebles. He's down here as well, and he's a bit of a shit at the moment. He keeps barking at everything. That's Peeps. Right, so maniacs, let me quit this and I'll get, there he is, there's Peeps. There he is. That's Peeps. That's Peeps. Freddy annoys the shit out of him. That's what, Peeps is 9 years old, he's almost 10 years old, and he's had a lovely quiet life for 10 years almost, and then Freddy comes along and absolutely throws a spanner in the works. So that's why he's yakking on over there. Still out of sync, maniacs? Let me know and I'll, yeah, delay's pretty big. I'll cancel this and get back on, so I'll see you in a bit, alright? yet. So, I mean, again, the internet ain't doing very well. It gets to a point and it just takes a shite. So there's not so much we can do apart from just reset it. So. For the minute, and then it's like anything, it's great until it ain't, you know what I mean? It's great until it takes a shit, and then everyone's you know, catching up because we can't see it properly. It's a pain in the butthole. Let me see. Trader's Gate. Can I play Breaking the Law? I don't know the chords on that one. No Pray for the Dying. I can't remember it off the top of my head. If I can remember it, I could probably play it, but I can't remember it, so I can't play it. Sinner. Sinner we've done already, and we might do it again later on. Reckless we haven't done today. We always do Reckless. Make your mind. No, I'm only kidding. Come on, what do you want? Natural thing. All my genes broken. Yes, unfortunately, yes. Tomorrow is it tomorrow Motorhead Day? It's May the 8th, right? The 8th of May. Tomorrow's the 6th. I thought it was the 8th. Not too sure. Let me see here. See the flame. Bosnian Prime. You know, is that the one that goes? Bosnian Prime anyway. We've got Cesar, I see you there, I see you rocking. Hendrix, okay, let's do some Hendrix. What should we play? Let's play. This Univibe is working sometimes and it isn't some other, you know what I mean? turn this Univibe off. Someone just asked which version it is. It's this one. It's this one. Not actually this one, obviously, but this is another one that I had and it stopped working. So I bought a fucking another one, and that one ain't working either. But it's this one here. It's the I think it's. Is everyone seeing that? I can't work it out. But it's the MXR Univibe. Fucking toilet. I love it. It's one of my favourite effects when it bloody works. Sentinel we've done. Do I recommend it? I'll tell you what, I do when they work, but I don't have a very good history with them. Yeah, this one stopped working, and the one, I mean, you judge for yourself. I mean, I'm trying here. When it works, it's killer. That's always the way with good gear, though. You know, when it's working, it's fucking great. It's just sometimes it ain't working. It's like the shark in Jaws, you know. Sometimes it weren't working. It was an iconic movie. Sometimes it's not working. It's an iconic pedal. I don't know. And it's lagging again. That's fantastic. At the moment, Craig. This is AC. I've got the wah, the Univibe, and the chorus on AC. So there you go. Good to see you, man. Hope you're okay over there, you guys. Fractal, Engel versus EVH. You know, it's all personal preference, you know. Personally, I prefer the Engels over the EVH. Although in the studio, I think we used the EVH and we didn't use the Engel. I mean, we tried it, but we ended up using, I think, the JVM, the Marshall JVM, and the EVH, if I'm not mistaken. Shouldn't I really? You should put out a Univibe pedal. Yeah, I mean, I don't really use them often enough, really, to justify putting out one with my name on it. I don't think. I just want, I just want one that works. That'd be great. Have I ever played a Jackson? Yeah, I used to have a Jackson when I was a boy. Back when I was a boy, I had, what did I have? It was like a Randy Rhoads type shape thing. The next are too thin for me though. I can't get me. I mean, I haven't got particularly big hands anyway, which you shouldn't really say. But I couldn't. My hands were too big for a Jackson. It was too flat. I didn't like the way it felt. So I like a bit of I like a thick neck, and they were just too skinny for me. It was quite a funny story. It was a good friend of mine owned a music store at the time, and I worked for him at the time. And me and the guy that worked there, we were into Metallica and Pantera and stuff like that. And Kirk Hammett used a Jackson, I think, on Sad But True. I think he still does. So we asked the guy that we worked for to order in about 20 Jacksons on the strength of, like, these are the new thing. I want one. My buddy wants one who works in the shop. We're going to sell two. I'm going to buy one. My buddy's going to buy one. These are the thing. And so he got about 10. He bought about 10 Jacksons in for the store. None of them sold, and me and my buddy gave our ones back to him and got Gibsons instead. So he was stuck with 10 Jacksons. He ultimately sold them, obviously, but he got them on the strength that we were going to buy some of them, and we didn't. Didn't really work out. But anyway, boring story. There for you from the Redeemer of Souls album. We should do like a radio voice, The next one is Hellbent for Leather from the Hellbent for Leather / Killing Machine album. Yeah, they do. Similar because they have that the same DNA. That's I think is the right way to put it. That's a good one. Epiphone V. Yeah, there's a few different things. The Epiphones are made in the Far East, and the Gibsons are made in the US for the custom shop. So the woods are different. The quality of woods are different. What else is different? I mean, all the guitars are different to me anyway. You know, it's like you get a car for $3,000 and you get a car for $30,000. It's like there's differences all over the place. But I used the Epiphone for more of the set than the Gibson, to be honest with you. Fret radius. Now you start getting too technical for me. Once I start, you know, I know there's a certain fret radius that I prefer. I think if it's too flat, I don't like it. There's got to be some curve in it, but I couldn't tell you. If it feels right, it feels right, you know. So let's see. What's the lighter, Epiphone or Gibson? There, I've only got one of the Gibson V's. And I've got a few of the Epiphones, and the Epiphones vary in weight. Every guitar that I've got varies in weight, even if it's the same year, the same model and everything. Everything varies slightly in weight. So, I mean, I've played guitars. I've got some of the Epiphones. This one's a light one. I've got a black one that's slightly heavier than this. The Gibson I've got is actually heavier than this one. This is a pretty light one. I prefer heavier guitars, to be honest with you. But again, I'm not fussy. It's more about feel and what you're used to more than the sound of it. I mean. Once it comes down to the weight of the guitar to get your sound, I think you need to maybe go and do some practicing, you know. But there's nothing in the weight of a guitar that can't be compensated from a tone knob or the difference in a hall or a room. It's going to be different all the time, so it's just the way it feels, I think, is what most people go for. Richie, what's the feel you play in 4/6 in Breaking the Law? I'm not too sure, man. I'll have to listen to it. Mary Death Star, I'm glad you've had an epiphany. They're good things to have. I'm only kidding, of course. The Exorcist theme, wasn't it? Maybe a new signature V with a fixed V instead of Floyd Rose. Well, I used the Floyd Rose. So, I mean, if I use a fixed bridge, I use a Les Paul. So it's not really much point in putting a fixed bridge on a V if I'm not going to use it. I used a V with the triple humbucker. Yeah, I haven't used those for a while. I just caught the end of that question. You might have to ask that again. I didn't see the full question. Have you heard the new Metallica album and do you like it? Yeah, the Hardwired, I think it's great. Hardwired to Self-Destruct, I think it's a great record. Called Andy Beach that made the Zakk Wylde Glory back in the 90s. So I used those for a while with the studs on them and stuff. And then I made the signature guitar with Epiphone after that, and I didn't use them on the last tour. So yeah, I was using the Epiphones and the Gibson. Let me see. Well, the thing is with Floyd Rose is it comes with, if you break a string, the bridge is on a spring like this, like a Stratocaster, and it floats, they call it. So it's all set with the balance, and there's a string tension and everything. So the whole thing is floating like that. So if you break a string, the tension goes and it moves. So point being, if you're a beginner and you're starting to get used to a lot of things like chords and finger spacing and all that sort of stuff, you don't want to be thinking anymore about tuning issues that might be coming from the Floyd Rose. So I'd say lay off the Floyd Rose purely. It's lots of fun, but if you break a string, you're buggered. So yeah, I'd say stay off it for a little while and get used to, just playing on a fixed bridge until you've got that, and then you can start thinking about other things. Am I left-handed as well? No, it's the camera's flipped. I don't know how to change that. Evertune, I'm not really a fan of Evertune. I think it takes all the nuance out of the Evertune, the premise of it, and I know it can be adjusted. The premise of the Evertune is that it's always in tune. No matter how much you bend a string, it stays in tune. If a string goes out of tune, it stays in tune. So it's great for the studio. So if you can hear it here, I'm playing an A chord. I'm going to play the A chord again, and I'm going to fret it harder. So it bends the note slightly, right? So the Evertune eliminates all that. So you can play, if you've got intonation problems or slightly out, you're playing a chord, even that's slightly out. It's not quite right, but that's okay. Evertune eliminates that. But to me, and Evertune eliminates all that. All the slight bends, you have to set the bends to how much bend you can get before it changes. To me, it eliminates the nuance that most people spend years honing, and everyone's, I've said this before, everyone's fingerprint, everyone's finger tone comes from those little bends and those little inflections, and I think the Evertune eliminates all those nuances. I think it's great for certain types of music and in the studio. There's a long-winded answer to a very short question, but there you go. That's I've used an Evertune in the studio, but to sum up, Maniacs, an Evertune to me erases all the nuance that we spend years honing. To me, a guitar is a very kind of nuanced thing. It's like a compressor to me. Now, it's all horses for courses. Everyone uses different stuff. A compressor to me makes everything balanced and everything the same. But I like the dynamics. Let's call it dynamics between light and shade and soft and loud and quiet. yourself. So let's move on. Yeah, Andy likes the Evertoons. Whee! Andy likes the Evertoons. I don't. 4x12 in the studio. There were 4x12s in the studio. Well, you know, that's just what works at the time. We tried 2x12s, we tried 4x12s, we tried old vintage 412s, vintage or, you know, whatever, old 4x12s, new 4x12s. The new 4x12s, you know, there's a lot of, again, every cabinet's different, but there's a lot of, the general consensus is you don't want an old vintage cab with vintage this, that and the other. We tried them and they weren't working for what we wanted to achieve, so we used a brand new cabinet with brand new speakers in it. So, you know, just because it's old don't mean it's good. It's like me, you know. GT. Someone asked me this yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? It's not. It's an iconic guitar. Obviously, it's the Glenn Tipton GT. You know what I mean? It's not for me. As I said before about the Jacksons, the neck's too thin for me. And again, it's just what you get used to. And Glenn uses thin strings as well. He uses thin strings, thin picks, and a thin neck. That's how he gets all those shreddy notes. And I tend to use thicker necks, thicker picks, and thicker strings. So it's an iconic guitar, but it just doesn't suit the way, doesn't suit my hand. You know what I mean? Diary of a Madman, have I tried a scalloped fretboard? Yeah, I had a scalloped fretboard on the Strat a while ago. It was alright, it's good fun. That thick, it's somewhere in the middle. It's a medium-sized necklace. And to answer someone else's question, yeah, this is one of the ones that I use live. The only difference with this is that since we've been off the road, I've put some new pickups in it. But apart from that, this is the same as the black one that we get on stage. Oh, apart from the Floyd Rose, I broke the Floyd Rose on this one, so I had to put a new one on it. Thinking about getting new tattoos? Not really. Yeah, I've got a few, and then sort of they do say that once you get a tattoo, you want more. But I didn't really. I think I've got 4, and I don't really feel the need. I don't really care enough about anything to get anything on me at the moment. You know what I mean? I've got my band, I've got my family and stuff like that. But you know, apart from that, I can't really think of anything that I want to get. That will probably change at some point. You know. How many V's do I have? That's a very good question. I don't actually know. Did I ever meet Angus Young? No, I haven't met Angus Young. Do I sing? I sing Falcon Carrying a Coffee Tattoo. Maybe I'll have to get that. Maybe I have to get that. I forgot what I was going to say there. cowbell. The bloody cowbell. That's all you're getting. Am I a Hailstorm fan? Yeah, I love Hailstorm. I love Lizzie Howe. I think she's fantastic. I know Lizzie. I know Lizzie quite well. She doesn't live far from me, actually. Not too far at all. Oh, about singing. Yes, thanks for that, Johnny. I sing background vocals and I sing demos when I'm putting down vocal ideas to show to the band. Apart from that, not really. I wish I could sing. I wish I could sing well. I don't sing very well, and I try, and I don't sound very good, so I stop. You know. Yeah, I played with Lizzie and Joe in January this year. Gibson had a do at the Anaheim Grove, and we played "I Missed Misery" together, which was very amazing. You know, it was me, Lizzie, Joe, Chuck Garrick, and Kenny Aronoff. Something like that, anyway. Crazy baby. Fender or PRS or heavy metal? Well, you know what? You can't really generalise, you know. A lot of people use both. You can't really generalise on what one's better. It's what's best for you, you know. I wouldn't stress that enough. It's a MXR microchorus, which is this one. It's a microchorus. I use the same one on stage with the priest. This is a 22 fret neck. 24s, it takes some getting used to for me. It looks weird. The delay sometimes kicks in and it goes away again, so sorry about that, but if it gets too bad we'll kick off and kick back on again, so we'll play it by ear. Time to see one concert, who would it be? That's too hard. You know, there's Queen, there's Maiden, there's Priest, you know, Metallica back in the day, you know, there's tons of them. I can't decide just one. That's not that one, is it? That's Hot Stuff. Symphonic metal band? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Cliffs of Dover, I wish. Into 7-string guitars? Not really, no. I mean, I struggle enough playing 6-string with my chunky sausage 5 fingers. 7 strings, I don't think so. What's a song that you can play out of the realm of metal that will be a surprise to people that you know? I don't know, it's hard to know what would be a surprise to some people. Sometimes my clothing choices seem to be a surprise to some people, but there you go. Some people prioritise some things, other people others. But what would be a surprise to people? What about this one? Might have been a surprise to some people. I can see some of you it wasn't that much of a surprise. So yeah, so you never know. The Rage. Aerosmith, yeah, I went to see Aerosmith in 1994 at Wembley, I think it was, and Mr. Big was opening, and I went out the next day and bought a Mr. Big record. I thought Mr. Big were fantastic. To me, I just thought, you know, Aerosmith, but fucking hell, I thought that was wicked. There was a song called The Whole World's Gonna Know, I think it was. So yeah, Paul Gilbert I think's just phenomenal. I mean, he's a shredder, but he's also he's a shredder. But he's also nearly ripped my nail off there. He's a shredder, but he's also an incredibly feel-driven player, and he doesn't underestimate the rock face either. It's one of the most important aspects of rock guitar playing. Is the rock guitar face? Is this? Or, you know, that, you know, when you do that's Guitar 101. And Paul is an advocate for guitar face, so there you go. Guitar face and, what do we call it? Finger tone. Guitar face and finger tone, that's what it's all about. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. like playing an Explorer. I'm imagining it's pretty thick, like a Les Paul, but I've never played one. It's a big chunk of wood. We've got to be careful saying that, but it's a big chunk of wood in your hands. It's a big old guitar, so yeah, it takes a bit of getting used to if you're used to light guitars. So yeah, but definitely try one out. I played an Explorer on the last tour. I bought a couple of them to have in the A rig and the B rig, and I absolutely loved them. I changed some things on them, I put some pickups in them and changed the configuration around of the volume top knobs and stuff like that. But yeah, I love them. I love a big heavy guitar, so yeah. What do we got? I'm getting the impression that the delays again. Again, we've got to keep an eye on it. Brian Adams. I just laughed like your late grandmother. Oh, grandfather. I thought you said grandmother. I was going, bloody hell. That's creepy when you hear people do that sort of stuff and it gives you references to people that have passed, you know. Battery porco dio. Okay, let me run that one. No battery. It's not the Wi-Fi. I tried the Wi-Fi and it's even worse. This is the best we've had it, and it's on the phone's internet, so you know. Have I tried to fish with pickups? Yeah, they're alright. I'm not usually a fan of anything I have to plug in like that, you know, to charge. That's not really... I know these take a battery, but I'm not plugging them in like an iPhone. connection. I think it's just because everyone's on it. Surely. I mean, if you're saying it's been going on for a couple of years. Some people are saying it's okay, some people are saying it's not. So I guess that depends on. I mean, I don't know if I can do anything to affect how it works for you. You know what I mean? So if it gets too bad for too many people, then I'll have to reset it. But again, if it's working for some people and others not, I don't quite know how to remedy that. We'll see how it goes. I mean, if I can sit here and download a 50 gig file in like 10 minutes or stream films and stuff, but we can't watch each other stream like this, I think it's got to be Instagram, you know what I mean? It's not a connection. No, there's only, what we've got on here, we've got 100 people on here at the moment, so it shouldn't be crashing it either. I think Instagram need to get their shit together, don't you? Who played the Painkiller solo live, you or Andy, when Glenn was out? I played that one. Yeah, the video is 15 seconds behind the audio. Is that the same for everybody? So let's see how, if it's everyone that's got 15 seconds behind, then it's me. But if everyone's got varying delays, we've got three or 4 second delays here. Yeah, see, I don't know what I can do to remedy it. I've got they're actually kicking us off again now, so we've got the 2-minute countdown. So I'm going to have to get off in a minute anyway, so let me get off and get back on. That usually remedies it, so I'll see you in about 5 seconds. Hey Kat, how you doing? I could stream on YouTube, but I mean, maybe we should try that out. We'll give it a go next time, maybe. Maybe we could do that at some point. We'll see. do a live stream with Scott. Yeah, that'd be brilliant. That'd be fantastic. I mean, we'd have a few delay issues, but if we didn't have any delay issues, we could play together, you know what I mean? That'd be great. But we've got delay issues. Thin Lizzy album is either Johnny the Fox, Black Rose, Jailbreak. Yeah, one of those three, I think. I never like to pick just one. No, I'm really bad with favourites. I've told you that before. That's Easy Living by the amazing Uriah Heep. Let me see. The Trooper. Didn't go too well, did it? That? Let's do another one. No, we didn't play Wasted Years. We've been waiting for you. So. piano era. Well, give me one and I'll play it. You hum it, I'll sing it. Now, if you give me a song, I'll have a go at it. You've got the last Falcon V available in Italy. That's brilliant. You might be able to sell it. Some people on here have been looking for them and they can't find them anywhere. So there's a few people looking for them. Killers. Isn't that Killers? Floyd Roses, I can't quickly tune in another tuning. That's one of the drawbacks of a Floyd Rose. But the good part about having that is you have to get another guitar for another tuning, so that means 2 guitars. It's a perfect excuse. Not that you ever need an excuse, but For the greater good of God. I think that's for the greater good of God, I think. What brand of strings and stuff? These are Ernie Ball 11 to 50. Now, I think the Ernie Ball power slinkies are 11 to 48. I just changed the 48 to a 50 because it makes all the difference. I just like, because we down tuned to E flat, so I like a bit of a heavier bass string. Yeah, I really liked Matter of Life and Death. Doing a lot of Maiden today. Let's change it up. It's my fault really, because I'm playing them. But how much time is needed to build and test a prototype pickups and guitar? Depends on the modification, and the if they get it right first off. It all depends really. Flight of Icarus. Still asking for bloody Maiden. I wonder if they got. I wonder if they took that and went. I wonder if they nicked that. I mean, not nicked it, you know what I mean, like borrowed for a while. Something like that. The Prisoner, you're just racking out the Maiden today. Played Back in the Village, Phantom Lord. just ask for this. Hey April, sorry, I did get your mum's message and I just forgot to say. So hello April, hope you're doing well. Hope everyone's doing well over there. Infinite dreams. Off into it's been a while. It's been about a year. into the eyes of a stranger. That's Como Estas Amigos. Oh, the Queensryche song. I thought you meant the, I think it was the Maidens called that. Deja Vu. Nutshell, the Kinks or Van Halen? Slash, which song? Michael Schenker, Into the Arena. Any better ones? Ride the Lightning. Into the Arena is a good song though. I mean, Ace of Spades. There's no guitar in that. Well, there is, but you know what I mean. Phrygian style solo. I don't know any Phrygian solos. Organa's Rage. No, that's not it, is it? I can't remember those EMG things, the Organa's Rage, and there was another one, Hosnian Prime. Was it? See, if you'd have told me play another, you know, Wherever I May Roam, I get that. Phrygian, I've never learned. So I've never learned music through, you know, names of scales. I learnt the music through my ears and my fingers. You know what I mean? So if you'd have said, which is Wherever I May Roam, I learned it like that. I didn't learn the name of it. Let's put it that way. I just learnt the way it sounded. Let me see. Wild Child. Give me a Guns N' Roses one then. Come on. I'll tell you what, I'll do a Guns N' Roses. I like this one. I like this one, I do. Rhapsody. Let's do that. Bohemian Rhapsody. Sanctuary. Let's see if we can get the right tone for this. I think I've got a... the right time, but not really. What do we got? Yes, Firewoman. Fire Wookab is the alternate version. a few fluid fans out there. Refreshing to play some Floyd, actually. What else have we got? What else have we got? What have we got? What have we got? Time of day, we're going a bit soft, but that's all right. or are we rocking it up? Love of My Life, we just done that one. Oh, okay. What do we got? We've got another coffee, so we're going for ages. Come on. More Queen, okay. That wasn't Stairway. That was Is This the World That We Created? By Queen. And that was Queen with Is This the World That We Created? Before that we had I can't remember what we did, but it was, I can't remember. The next song is not going to be some Megadeth. The next song is going to be from a band called Judas Priest with a song called Before the Dawn. The next song, we're going to attempt Angel by Judas Priest from the Angel of Retribution album. I can't remember it. We've done it in the last tour and I can't fucking remember it. Fucked it up there, listeners, and moving on to the next one. We have the Falcons radio channel, the Falcons jukebox here on the lockdown. Right, what we got then? Any Rush? I know bits and pieces of Rush, I know. Diamonds and Rust, okay. The next one, listeners, is a song by the band Judas Priest. This is Diamonds and Rust from the album Sin After Sin. Should we stop doing this? It's a bit silly, isn't it? How about someone just asked for yeah, someone just said they knew where I worked as a korvgubbe, which is a sausage man in Sweden. I used to, before I was what would you call it? Before I joined Priest, I used to live in Sweden, and my job was a hot dog seller. I used to sell hot dogs on the street in my little grill, and I used to boil and grill hot dogs for the people that wanted hot dogs, and that's what I used to do as a job. And some of it was great. I mean, we used to travel in the summer. We used to pack up and put all the grills and the sausages in a wagon and take them all around the country to like fairs and festivals and stuff, and it was great fun. So yeah, I was a sausage man. Korvgubbe. It was good fun. I'm enjoying these ballads. Patience is a good one. Let me think about it. We used to do that in a band. Let me see. Right, we've got 2 minutes left again. I'll get on again because you're coming up with some good questions and some good licks, some good suggestions. So when this countdown runs down, you know what I mean, I'll get back on again. So if anyone can stay and come back, I'll see you in a minute, and if you can't, well then fuck you. No, I'm only joking. If you can't, then have a good rest of the day. Stay safe and all that. You know, keep yourself entertained, hopefully through the lockdown and everything. But if you can come back, then I'll see you in a minute. But I've got a minute left. For the stuff that you're throwing at me, so might get the Les Paul in a bit. Right, so we've got 20 seconds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end this. It's over, and then I'm going to get straight back on. So see some of you in a minute, and the other lot, see you next time. And they're back in the room. City. About the delay settings, I couldn't tell you what these are. These aren't coming from the pedal. These are coming from the Kemper. So I couldn't tell you what they are. They're just a random setting. Let me see. Metal Heart United. Oh, almost. Of the new EMGs. Well, I don't want to say too much because they might change. So you'll see. They sound like this. can't envision the. No, it's not, is it? Earlier on. What have we got? Sword of Damocles, that's a good one. Rhyme of the Ancient Grand Marnier, that's anyway. Oh, the unit vibe decided to work. Right, just had another coffee, so we've got a good 3 hours left. Crazy Train, Fast as a Shark. We get a lot of requests for Fast as a Shark. Kill the King, that's a better Does that fucking rock? Can you play Man on the Silver Mountain? Yes. But I'll say it again, how much does that fucking rock? Mr. Blackmore on the lead guitar there. I mean, you don't get more metal than that. What else have we got from Any More Rainbow? Babylons. What else have we got? That's a great one. Let's start that one again. That's the live version. I only played that once. You probably don't know it. What else have we got? Deep Purple. Sounds good today. I don't know how it sounds through your microphone, but it sounds fucking good in here, I'll tell you that. Is there anything more inspiring than a guitar? I don't think so. Not for me, anyway. Any more Blackmore? Any more? I'll tell you what. there's two songs. I was trying to do Spotlight Kid there, but it actually sounds like it's a Maiden song. Does anyone know what it is? Spotlight Kid is. There's a Maiden song that goes. Bailey track. No, it's not Be Quick or Be Dead. Be Quick or Be Dead is well, it's not that funny, but it's a story attached to the Spotlight Kid. I think we were in Virginia, and I'd bought a new guitar and I was playing it backstage through a little amplifier, and I was playing Spotlight Kid. You know, all that stuff. And we were on tour at the time. We were co-headlining with Deep Purple, which is a band that you might be aware of. And as I was playing it, where was I? I think we were in Virginia. Anyway, I was backstage playing it, and Roger Glover came in, and he said, "Oi," he said, "I wrote that," so he recognised it. So he sued me for royalties, and I'm still paying him off. No, only joking. But he came in and he recognised the song. So hopefully I was playing it right. But that was pretty cool, I thought. My new song. It's for you, it's for all of you. Anyway. Revelations. What Van Halen song would you like? We're doing a good one today. You're coming up with some great suggestions, I must admit. apologies for that. I mean, for me as well. The Live After Death version, of course. What do we got? How fucking good is that? I mean, come on, the power of the riff, man. I mean, the riff should be lauded more than it is, although I think it is kind of lauded. But I mean, what? How fucking good is that? That's fucking brilliant. I keep saying the F word, so I fucking won't anymore. Bad Reputation. Obey the riff, absolutely. I keep saying it, it's too much coffee. Absolutely obey the riff. Cold Sweat. Request for Thin Lizzy, but I missed it. Going blind, you see. But Who said Whole Lot of Love is a great riff? Yes, you there. So little views. No one cares. No one cares about little old me apart from you, horrible lot. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. But no one else cares, you know. But that doesn't mean we can't have fun. also the live version that they only played once, and I don't think you've heard it. So yeah. Again though, how fucking good is it? some advice on how to put together a solo, there's one right there. There's no speed going on. It's note choice and just feel and vibrato. There's no shredding whatsoever. So I mean, that's a perfect example of fantastic guitar playing. Not me, I'm saying Michael Schenker, the way he puts that together. It's classic stuff. Fuck all that fast stuff. Just because I can't do it. But what I mean is, you know, it goes straight in your brain. Everyone here that knows that song, Love to Love by UFO, everyone can sing along with that solo, and it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. There's so much space, and my philosophy is that everyone's got their own fingerprint, right? Literally a fingerprint on the guitar, and it comes across in the form of how you hit the string, you know, the vibrato, whether your vibrato is fast or slow, you know, or a combination of both. It's a literal fingerprint, and the more space you've got, the finger tone, exactly, thank you Mary, it's finger tone, and it comes from the fingers. So I could play through Brian May's rig. I'm going to play like me. If Brian May came here today and he sat and put it through this guitar and this rig, he's going to sound like Brian May because he's got Brian May's finger tone, right? So, where I'm going with this is that the more space there are between the notes, the more space there is to put in your fingerprint. Literally. So, all of that will slay anything. That's a masterclass in the guitar solo right there from Mr. Michael Schenker. Steve Morse has distinctive vibrato you can always hear. Of course, because there's enough space in the notes. Now, if you're, I mean, you know, it's not my thing, but if there's like a million notes, there's no space to get the fingerprint in there. There's no finger tone, it's just notes. Which is great if that's what you want to do, and it sounds great too. But I guarantee, ask any shredder, and they'd say the same thing. The more space, the more finger tone. But you're absolutely right, I'm lazy too, yes. Constantly trying to come up with ways to play slower. Rising from Ruins has the, well, Rising from Ruins is, Malmsteen, I don't know, yeah, but then you get some people like Malmsteen that are absolute shredders and still have finger tone. Because Malmsteen's a genius. There's no way around that. See, that's kind of the same thing. Someone just mentioned Rising from Ruins. The same thing. There's enough space there, and it's all taken from the Michael Schenker book of how to play rock guitar, ladies and gentlemen. Adrian Smith is another prime example. All the greats, really. I mean, all the greats. I mean, even the shredders had some moments in there as well. You know, where they slowed down and put some space in there. You know. Schenker is God, without a doubt. Randy Rhoads is the same, exactly that. Put a little burst of speed in here and there, and then a bit of space to put in your finger tone. It's absolutely true. They're the bits that you sing. They're the parts that, you know, catch your ear. They're the parts that, you know, make the song, you know. In my opinion. There you go, put that there. Cinnariff. See, Marty Friedman is a prime example. Marty Friedman is an absolute god of shred. But there are moments in there where there's space and finger tone. And Marty Friedman is another one where he puts the finger tone in the fast stuff as well. Fantastic player. Love Marty Friedman. Paul Gilbert's another one. Paul Gilbert is an absolute master at melody and vibrato and note choice and also shred, without a doubt. And as we said before, the rock face. He appreciates the rock face, without a doubt. And as we said, the rock face is this. Whenever you get a note that, you know, Paul will tell you. You know, all of that. Technical difficulties. I remember, is it the right note? Is that Tony Iommi doesn't do it, no. Tony Iommi doesn't need to do rock face. Tony Iommi invented that shit, so he doesn't need to do any rock faces. He invented that shit. Okay? Guitar face, it came naturally. You saw that everyone has a guitar face, there you go. Some people would call that duck face. I would call that guitar face. Thank you very much. Today, I'm having fun. You're having some. You've got some good combos going. I might have a beer in a minute. Anyone want to join me? I'll tell you what. If we do after this one, I might do another one. And if I do another one, everyone can join me for a beer if they want. I mean, don't come here and join me for a beer. I mean, just have a beer on the Insta. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, boys and girls. I would love to jam with Michael Schenker. Good Lord. Favorite Schenker song? Let It Roll. That's a favourite. See, that's how good Schenker is. I'm really bad with favourites, everybody. I'm really bad with favourites, but that is my favourite Schenker song at the moment. Let's just let it roll in, shall we? glory. Slippy E string. live version from 1992 that was never played again, and only I know that one. Flying High again we did earlier on. What have we got here? Too quick that, otherwise I'd have played it perfectly, you see. National Acrobat, it's not a bad one. Deal with the Devil. Running with the Devil. Shame. Let me see. Limelight. Redeemer Souls. Oh, we've got 2 minutes remaining. This is the last one, Maniacs, and then I'm going to bugger off. Maybe come back tomorrow. Someone has just asked me what the profiled amp was. It's a 35th anniversary Marshall Plexi, which I have. If you look on my profile, there's a picture of all the white Marshalls, and it's the Plexi's on the right. It's the top right one, and it's a rocking amp. So I just cranked it, profiled it, and shoved it through the Kemper. So yeah. But we've got a minute and 20, Maniacs. I'm going to thank everyone for hanging out today. We've had a long session today. We've had lots of fun. Well, I have anyway. If you haven't, then that's your problem. No, I'm only kidding. But I've had lots of fun. I've had great fun. I've had a lot of suggestions from you, which have been great to play. A lot of great questions. It's been a lot of good vibes today. So no doubt I'll either be back tomorrow or at some stage. And you never know, I might be on later on tonight. I mean, with the time differences and everything, it could be difficult for everyone to get on. But I might come back on later on, and I might have a beer or something. So if anyone wants to hang out for a beer, keep your eyes out on the Insta feeds and see if I'm around. So yeah, thanks again. And I'm off in 30 seconds, so let's just get some riffage in before it chucks us all off.